I had 30 minutes to meet someone I'd never seen before when my phone buzzed with a message that made my stomach drop. He wasn't coming. My blind date had stood me up, and I was alone in the fanciest restaurant in Riverside Heights wearing a dress I couldn't afford and makeup that took an hour to perfect. That's when a man in an expensive suit appeared at my table, his dark eyes seeing right through my humiliation, and said two words that would change everything. Sit with me. The reservation was for 7:30. Claire checked her phone for the 15th time. 7:42. The restaurant was called Marcello's, and it was the kind of place where the menus didn't have prices and the waiters wore white gloves. Her friend Diane had set this up. Said the guy was perfect. A lawyer. Successful. Kind. Someone who wouldn't waste her time like the last 3 disasters Claire had dated. She smoothed her black dress and tried to look like she belonged here. She didn't. Her apartment was a studio with a leaky faucet. Her job at the bookstore barely covered rent. This dress was borrowed. The heels were giving her blisters. But Diane had been so insistent. Just give it a chance. He's different. You'll like him. 7:48. Claire's water glass was empty. The waiter had refilled it twice already, each time giving her a look that made her feel smaller. Around her, couples leaned close over candlelit tables. Everyone belonged except her. Her phone lit up. Finally. But the message made her chest tighten. Sorry, can't make it. Something came up. Maybe another time. That was it. No explanation. No apology that sounded real. Just a brush off from someone who'd probably taken one look at her profile picture and decided she wasn't worth the effort. Claire's face burned. She could feel the waiter watching. Feel the other diners noticing. The girl sitting alone. The girl who got stood up. She reached for her purse, ready to leave, ready to walk out with whatever dignity she had left. That's when he appeared. Tall, maybe 6'2". Dark hair swept back. A suit that probably cost more than Claire made in 3 months. He moved through the restaurant like he owned it. Maybe he did. The staff straightened when they saw him. Other diners watched him pass, but his eyes were on Claire. He stopped at her table. Up close, he was even more intimidating. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see everything. A scar through his left eyebrow that suggested a history she didn't want to know about. You're alone, he said. His voice was low, accented. Italian, she thought. Claire's throat went dry. I'm leaving, actually. Because he didn't show up? It wasn't a question. Somehow this stranger knew. Maybe it was obvious. Maybe humiliation had a look, and Claire was wearing it. It's fine, she lied. I have somewhere else to be. The man studied her for a moment. Then he gestured to the empty chair across from her. Sit with me. What? You came here for dinner. Have dinner. With me. He pulled out the chair and sat before she could protest. Up close, she could see the details. The expensive watch. The ring on his right hand. The way he carried himself like someone who never heard the word no. I don't even know you, Claire managed. My name is Dante. You're Claire. Your friend Diane made the reservation. The man who was supposed to meet you is named Michael. He's a coward who doesn't deserve your time. Dante signaled the waiter. We'll have the special. Both of us. And bring a bottle of the Barolo. Claire's mind raced. How did he know all that? Why was he doing this? She should leave. Should walk out right now before this got complicated. But the waiter was already moving, and Dante was watching her with those dark eyes that made her feel like running and staying at the same time. Why? She asked. Why what? Why are you doing this? You don't know me. Dante leaned back in his chair. I know you wore that dress because you wanted tonight to matter. I know you've been checking your phone every 30 seconds for the last 20 minutes. I know you're embarrassed and angry and probably wondering what's wrong with you that makes men treat you like this. He paused. Nothing's wrong with you. The problem is them. The words hit harder than Claire expected. Her eyes burned. She looked down at her hands. You don't know anything about me. I know more than you think. The wine arrived. Dante poured 2 glasses. I know you work at Harbor Books on 3rd Street. I know you walk home every night because you can't afford a car. I know your apartment building has a broken security door and a landlord who ignores your calls. He pushed a glass toward her. I know you deserve better than this, than him, than any of it. Claire's heart was pounding now. Are you following me? Because that's creepy. I'm observant. There's a difference. Dante took a sip of wine. Drink. It'll help. She should definitely leave. This man knew too much. Said too much. Looked at her like he could see through her skin. But her hand reached for the glass anyway. The wine was better than anything she'd ever tasted. Smooth and rich, and probably worth more than her rent. What do you want? She asked. To have dinner with someone interesting. I'm not interesting. You're the most interesting person in this room. Dante's gaze didn't waver. Everyone else here is playing a role, pretending to be something they're not. But you're real. You're scared and hurt, and trying not to show it. That's honest. That's rare. The food arrived. Claire didn't remember ordering, but the plates were beautiful. Pasta she couldn't pronounce. Vegetables that looked like art. Everything perfect and overwhelming. Eat, Dante said. You haven't eaten all day. You were too nervous about tonight. He was right. Again. Claire picked up her fork, hands still shaking slightly. The food was incredible. Each bite better than the last. She tried not to think about the bill. About what this would cost. About whether Dante expected something in return. Relax, he said, like he could read her mind. I'm not keeping score. This isn't a transaction. Then what is it? A conversation. Between 2 people. Nothing more complicated than that. But it felt complicated. Everything about this felt complicated. Claire took another sip of wine. Then another. The edges of her anxiety were starting to soften. You still haven't told me why you're really doing this. Dante set down his fork. Because I know what it's like to be left waiting. To feel like you're not enough. Someone did that to me once. A long time ago, and I remember how it felt. He paused. So when I saw you sitting here alone, checking your phone, trying not to cry, I thought maybe I could change how your night ended. The honesty in his voice caught Claire off guard. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something beneath the expensive suit and intimidating presence. Something human. Something hurt. Who left you waiting? She asked. Someone who thought she could do better. She was wrong, but by the time she realized it, I'd moved on. Dante's expression was unreadable. We all have our scars. Some are just more visible than others. Claire thought about the scar through his eyebrow. How'd you get that one? A disagreement that got physical. With who? Someone who doesn't exist anymore. The way he said it made Claire's blood run cold. Dante must have seen her reaction because his expression softened. I don't expect you to understand my life. Most people don't. But I'm not going to lie to you either. What do you do? For work, I mean. I own businesses, restaurants, real estate, import and export. He said it casually, but Claire heard what he wasn't saying, the gaps between words, the carefully chosen phrases. You're not a normal businessman. No, I'm not. The wine was making Claire bolder. Should I be scared of you? Dante considered the question seriously. Probably. Most people are. But you're not most people, and I have no reason to hurt you. In fact, I'd very much like to make sure no one else does either. Why would anyone want to hurt me? Because you're sitting with me. Because people will see us together and make assumptions. Because in my world, everything is leverage. Everyone is a potential weakness. He refilled her glass. But that's my problem, not yours. Claire should definitely leave now, should thank him for dinner and walk away from whatever this was. But she didn't move. I don't understand any of this. You don't need to. Just finish your dinner. Let me drive you home. Tomorrow you wake up, and this was just a strange night with a stranger. Nothing more. And if I want it to be more? The question surprised both of them. Claire couldn't believe she'd said it. But the wine and the food and the way Dante looked at her like she mattered, it was all making her braver than she should be. Dante's expression changed. Something heated flickered in his eyes. Then you're making a mistake. I'm not Michael. I'm not safe. I'm not the kind of man you build a normal life with. I don't want normal. Normal got me stood up in a restaurant I couldn't afford, wearing a borrowed dress, trying not to cry. You want different. Different and dangerous are not the same thing. Maybe I want both. They stared at each other across the table. The restaurant noise faded. All Claire could hear was her own heartbeat. All she could see was Dante watching her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Finally, he spoke. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Answer them honestly. If you lie, I'll know. Okay? Are you afraid of me? Yes. Good. You should be. Second question. Do you trust me? Claire thought about that. This stranger who knew too much. Who appeared when she needed someone. Who looked at her like she was worth something. More than I should. Fair enough. Last question. If I told you that sitting here with me puts you in danger, would you leave? Claire's hands tightened around her wine glass. Every logical part of her brain screamed yes. Leave now. Walk away. Save yourself. But when she looked at Dante, at the way he was waiting for her answer without trying to influence it, she realized she'd already made her choice. No, she said quietly. I wouldn't leave. Dante's jaw tightened. For a moment he looked almost angry. Then he signaled for the check. Finish your wine. We're leaving. Where are we going? Somewhere we can talk without an audience. The car was exactly what Claire expected. Black. Expensive. Probably bulletproof. A driver opened the door without being asked. Dante placed his hand on the small of her back, guiding her inside. The touch was light but possessive, like he was already claiming her. They drove through Riverside Heights in silence, past the nice neighborhoods, past the businesses that closed at 9, into a part of the city Claire had only seen from bus windows. The buildings here were older, grander, the kind that held histories and secrets. The car stopped in front of a stone building that looked like it belonged in Europe. Iron gates, manicured grounds, security cameras everywhere. Dante helped her out of the car. This is my home. You're safe here. But once you walk through that door, things change. You'll see things, know things. There's no unknowing them. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to give you a choice, because after tonight, you won't have one anymore. Claire looked up at the building, at the life it represented. Then at Dante, this dangerous man who'd appeared in her worst moment and offered her something she couldn't quite name. I'm choosing to walk through the door. Something in Dante's expression shifted. Relief, maybe. Or resignation. He led her inside. The interior was all dark wood and marble. Art on the walls that Claire recognized from textbooks. A staircase that curved up to shadows. Everything beautiful and cold and nothing like a home. A man in a suit appeared from a side room. Sir, the shipment arrived. There's a problem with the paperwork. Handle it, Dante said without looking at him. I'm not available tonight. But sir, the clients are waiting. Dante turned his full attention on the man. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. I said handle it. If there's a problem, call Marcus. Don't interrupt me again. The man disappeared fast. Claire had never seen someone move with fear like that. She looked at Dante. What kind of shipment? The kind you don't ask about. They walked through the house, past rooms with closed doors, past more men in suits who nodded at Dante and stared at Claire with undisguised curiosity. Finally, they reached a room at the back. A library with floor-to-ceiling books and leather furniture that looked like it cost a fortune. Dante poured 2 more glasses of wine from a bottle that probably belonged in a museum. He handed one to Claire. Last chance. You can leave right now. I'll have my driver take you home. We'll never see each other again. Do you want me to leave? No. Then I'm staying. Dante set down his glass and moved closer. Close enough that Claire had to tilt her head back to see his face. I don't do relationships. I don't do normal. Women in my life are complications, weaknesses, things my enemies use against me. Then why am I here? Because from the moment I saw you sitting in that restaurant trying not to fall apart, I wanted you. And I always get what I want. His hand came up, fingers tracing her jawline. But I won't force this. Won't make you something you're not. So tell me now. Do you want this? Whatever this is? Claire's breath caught. Every cell in her body was screaming warnings, but she was so tired of being careful. So tired of men like Michael who wasted her time. So tired of playing it safe and ending up alone anyway. Yes, she whispered. I want this. Dante kissed her. Hard and possessive and nothing like any kiss Claire had experienced before. His hands tangled in her hair, pulled her closer. She felt his control slipping, felt the dangerous thing beneath his expensive suit coming to the surface. When they finally broke apart, Claire was shaking. Dante's eyes had gone dark. I'm going to ruin you for anyone else. You know that, right? Maybe I want to be ruined. Careful what you wish for. He pulled her down onto the leather couch. Tell me about your life. Everything. I want to know who you were before tonight. So Claire talked. About her parents dying in a car accident when she was 19. About the bookstore job that barely paid enough. About the friends who'd drifted away. About feeling stuck and invisible, and like she was watching life happen to everyone except her. Dante listened without interrupting. His thumb traced circles on her wrist. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You're not invisible, he finally said. You're just surrounded by blind people. But I see you. And I'm going to make sure everyone else does too. What does that mean? It means your life is about to change, dramatically. Are you ready for that? I don't know. Honest answer. I appreciate that. Dante stood and pulled her up with him. It's late. I'll take you home. I can take a cab. No, you can't. Not anymore. From now on, you don't go anywhere without protection. Claire's stomach dropped. Protection? Why would I need protection? Because you're with me now. And the people who want to hurt me will use you to do it. The reality of what she'd stepped into hit Claire like cold water. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe. Probably. But it's too late now. Dante cupped her face in his hands. I told you there was no going back. I meant it. You're mine now. And I protect what's mine. The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it made something in Claire's chest go warm. She'd never been anyone's anything before. Never been worth protecting. Never been claimed. Okay, she said. Take me home. The drive back was quiet. Dante's hand rested on her thigh. Possessive. Grounding. When they reached Claire's building, he walked her to the door despite her protests. Someone will be outside all night, he said. You won't see them, but they'll be there. If anything happens, if you need anything, call this number. He handed her a card with nothing but digits on it. Dante, this is crazy. Yes, it is. He kissed her forehead, gentle compared to earlier. Sleep. Tomorrow we'll talk about what happens next. What does happen next? Everything changes. For both of us. He walked away before Claire could respond. She watched him get in his car, watched it disappear down the street. Then she looked at the card in her hand, at the 10 digits that connected her to a world she didn't understand. She should throw it away, should pretend tonight never happened, should go back to her safe, boring, invisible life. Instead, she put the card in her wallet and went upstairs. Her apartment felt smaller than before, cheaper, like she'd been living in black and white, and someone had just shown her color. She didn't sleep, just sat by the window, looking down at the street, wondering if she could spot whoever Dante had assigned to watch her. At 3 in the morning, her phone rang, an unknown number. Hello? You're still awake? Dante's voice was rough, tired. So are you. I'm always awake. Comes with the job. He paused. I shouldn't have involved you. Should have just paid for your dinner and walked away. Why didn't you? Because I'm selfish. Because I wanted you. Because for the first time in years, I met someone who looked at me like I was human instead of a monster. Claire's chest tightened. You're not a monster. You don't know what I've done? Then tell me. Silence. Long enough that Claire thought he'd hung up. Then, I've killed people, Claire. Men who crossed me, who threatened my family, who thought they could take what was mine. I've done things that would make you sick. Things I can't take back. Claire should hang up, should block the number, should run as far and fast as she could. Are you telling me this to scare me away? I'm telling you this so you know what you're getting into, so you can't say I didn't warn you. Okay. You warned me. Now what? Now you decide. Stay in your life, safe and small and invisible, or step into mine, dangerous and complicated and everything you never wanted. Claire thought about Michael, about the string of disappointing men before him, about nights spent alone in her small apartment wondering if this was all life had to offer. She thought about how Dante had looked at her, like she mattered, like she was worth something. I already decided, she said, back at the restaurant, when you asked me to sit with you. Claire, I'm not changing my mind. Whatever happens next, I'm in. She heard him exhale. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but at least I won't regret playing it safe. Stubborn. You started it. Showing up at my table, knowing too much, looking at me like that. Like what? Like you wanted to ruin me. I do want to ruin you. His voice dropped lower. I want to ruin you so completely that no one else will ever be enough. I want you to need me the way I already need you. And I want to burn down the world for looking at you wrong. Claire's breath caught. That's intense. That's who I am. Last chance to run, Claire. After this conversation, you're mine. Completely. Do you understand? Her logical brain screamed. But her heart, her stupid, reckless heart, was already his. I understand. And I'm not running. Then tomorrow night, I'm taking you somewhere. Wear something nice. Something that shows you're with me. And Claire? Yeah? Don't answer the door for anyone. Don't trust anyone who approaches you. Keep your phone charged. And if anything feels wrong, you call me immediately. Promise me. I promise. Good. Now try to sleep. You're safe tonight. He hung up. Claire sat in the dark holding her phone, her heart racing, her life completely changed. Somewhere below, a shadow moved near the streetlight. Her guard. Watching, protecting, making sure the world Dante inhabited didn't touch her. Yet. She finally fell asleep as dawn broke. And when she woke, there was a text waiting. One line. 8 words that made her smile despite everything. Counting the hours until I see you again. The next day crawled by. Claire went to work at the bookstore, tried to focus on shelving and customers and inventory, but her mind was elsewhere, on Dante, on the promises and warnings, on the way her life had tilted sideways in a single evening. Her friend Diane called at lunch. "How'd the date go? Was Michael as great as I said?" Claire thought about lying, about saying it was fine, normal, but she was tired of pretending. "He didn't show, stood me up." "What? That jerk, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "Actually, I'm better than okay. Someone else showed up, someone unexpected." "Tell me everything." So Claire did. Most of it, anyway. She left out the parts about protection and danger and the way Dante had casually mentioned killing people. Just said she'd met someone interesting, someone different, someone who made her feel alive. "Be careful," Diane said when she finished. "Guys who seem too good to be true usually are. He's not too good to be true. He's complicated and probably dangerous and definitely not what I should want." "But you want him anyway." "Yeah, I really do." Diane sighed. "Just promise me you'll be smart about this. Don't lose yourself over some guy." "I promise." But even as she said it, Claire knew it was a lie. She was already losing herself, already falling into something she didn't understand, and she didn't want to stop. At 6, she went home to change. The dress Dante had requested was hanging on her door. Black, simple, expensive. A note pinned to it. "For tonight. Burn the borrowed one. You deserve better." Claire ran her fingers over the fabric. Silk. Real silk. She checked the tag and nearly fainted. This dress cost more than 3 months of her rent. She couldn't accept this. Couldn't let him spend this kind of money on her. Her phone buzzed. "Don't argue. Wear the dress. I'll be there at 8. How did he know she was going to argue? Claire typed back. "This is too much." His response was immediate. "Nothing's too much for you. 8 o'clock. Be ready." Claire showered and did her makeup, put on the dress. It fit perfectly, like it had been made for her. Maybe it had. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. This wasn't the bookstore girl. This was someone else. Someone who belonged in Dante's world. At 8 exactly, there was a knock. Claire opened the door to find Dante in a different suit. Still expensive. Still perfect. But his expression when he saw her made her forget how to breathe. "Beautiful," he said quietly. "Absolutely beautiful." "The dress is too much." "The dress is perfect. You're perfect." He offered his arm. "Ready? Where are we going?" "You'll see." The car took them across the city to a building Claire had passed 100 times, but never entered. The Belmont. The most exclusive club in Riverside Heights. The kind of place that had a waiting list years long and turned away celebrities. But the doorman saw Dante and immediately opened the door. No questions. No checking a list. Just instant access. Inside was all low lighting and expensive perfume, and people who looked like they owned the world. Dante kept his hand on Claire's back, guiding her through the crowd. People stared, whispered. A few nodded at Dante with something that looked like fear mixed with respect. They were led to a private booth in the back, secluded but with a view of everything. Dante sat close enough that his leg pressed against hers. "This is where I do business, where deals get made, where people come when they want something from me." "Why'd you bring me here?" "Because I want people to see you, to know you're with me, to understand that touching you means dealing with me." A woman appeared at their table, late 20s, stunning. Her smile was all teeth. "Dante, darling, it's been too long." "Victoria." Dante's tone was polite but cold. "I thought you moved to New York." "I came back. Missed the old neighborhood." Her eyes slid to Claire. "Who's your friend?" "Someone important." That was all. No name, no introduction. Just a warning wrapped in 2 words. Victoria's smile tightened. "I see. Well, enjoy your evening." She walked away, heels clicking against marble, anger in every step. Ex? Claire asked. Briefly. 2 years ago. She wanted more than I could give. Which was? My name. My money. A ring. Dante turned to face Claire fully. I don't do commitments. Don't do relationships that look normal. But I do loyalty. And protection. And making sure the people who matter to me are taken care of. And I matter to you? More than I planned? He signaled a waiter. Champagne. The good bottle. The night unfolded in a blur of expensive drinks and watchful eyes. People approached Dante all evening, some with respect, some with fear. All of them glanced at Claire like they were trying to figure out who she was and why she was there. Around midnight, a man in an expensive suit sat down without being invited. He was older, 50s maybe, gray hair, cold eyes. Dante, I need a word. I'm busy. This can't wait. Dante's expression went hard. Yes, it can. You see, I'm with someone. You see, I'm not working tonight. And yet you interrupt anyway. Why is that, Frank? Frank's confidence wavered. It's about the shipment from Tuesday. There's been a complication. Call Marcus. He handles complications. But leave. Now. Before I decide your presence is offensive. Frank stood fast and disappeared into the crowd. Claire watched the exchange with growing understanding. This was power. Real power. The kind that didn't need to be loud or violent. Just absolute. Sorry about that, Dante said, his tone softening when he turned back to her. Business doesn't sleep. What kind of business needs shipments and complications and people who are scared to breathe wrong around you? The kind you don't ask about. You keep saying that. But if I'm really in this, don't I deserve to know? Dante studied her for a long moment. Then he stood and offered his hand. Come with me. He led her through the club to a back hallway, through a door that required a key card, downstairs that went deeper than Claire expected. They ended up in a room with security monitors covering every wall, men in suits watching screens, radios crackling with voices. This is the real club, Dante said. What happens upstairs is theater. What happens down here is truth. He pointed to different screens. That's our security. That's the entrance monitoring. That's the counting room where we handle cash. And that... He pointed to a screen showing men loading boxes into trucks. That's tonight's shipment. Medical supplies, legitimate, but they came through channels that aren't quite legal. Why? Because sometimes the legal way is too slow, too expensive, too controlled by people who don't care if someone lives or dies as long as paperwork is filed correctly. He turned to face her. I move things, money, goods, information. Some of it's legal, most of it isn't. But all of it serves a purpose, keeps this city running in ways the government can't or won't. Claire processed this. You're a criminal. Yes? But you think you're helping people? I know I'm helping people. The hospital 3 blocks from your apartment? I supply them with equipment and medicine they couldn't afford otherwise. The shelter on 5th Street? I fund it. The police who look the other way when my trucks move through the city? I pay them so they can feed their families. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. But it makes it necessary. Dante moved closer. I'm not asking you to approve, just to understand. This is who I am, what I do, and being with me means accepting it. Claire looked at the screens, at the evidence of crimes and good deeds tangled together. She thought about her moral high ground, about right and wrong, about how the world wasn't as simple as she'd always believed. I don't know if I can accept it, she said honestly. Fair enough. But can you accept me? The question hit different. Because Dante wasn't his crimes. He was also the man who'd saved her from humiliation, who looked at her like she was worth something, who warned her about danger and still wanted her anyway. Yes, she said. I can accept you. Something in Dante's expression softened. That's all I need. They went back upstairs, danced, drank more champagne. Dante kept her close, his hands on her waist, his attention never wavering. Around 2 in the morning, he leaned down and whispered in her ear. Take you home? Claire nodded. They left through a private exit. The car was waiting, but instead of taking her to her apartment, they drove to Dante's house. I thought you were taking me home, Claire said. I am. My home. Where you're safe. Where I can keep an eye on you. He saw her expression and added, Separate rooms. I'm not assuming anything, but I sleep better knowing you're protected. They went inside. The house was quiet, dark except for small lights along the floor. Dante led her upstairs to a room that was bigger than her entire apartment. A bed that could sleep 4. Windows overlooking the grounds. A bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. There are clothes in the closet, Dante said. Should fit. If you need anything, I'm 3 doors down. Don't leave the house without telling me. Don't open the windows. Don't. I get it. Stay put. Be safe. I'm serious, Claire. People know about you now. They saw us together. That makes you valuable. And valuable things get taken. Claire moved closer to him. Then stay. With me. So I don't have to be alone. Dante's jaw clenched. That's not a good idea. Why not? Because if I stay, I won't be able to keep my hands off you. And you deserve better than being rushed into something you're not ready for. What if I am ready? You're not. Trust me. He kissed her forehead. Sleep. Tomorrow we'll figure out what comes next. He left before she could argue. Claire stood in the giant room feeling small and overwhelmed and wanting him back. But she changed into the pajamas in the closet. They fit perfectly. Of course they did. She climbed into the enormous bed and tried to sleep. Around 4, she gave up, crept down the hall, found Dante's room by process of elimination. The door was unlocked. Inside, he was sitting by the window, shirtless, a glass in his hand, staring at nothing. Couldn't sleep? She asked. He turned, looked at her standing in his doorway in silk pajamas, backlit by hall lights. You should be resting. So should you. I don't rest. Too many people depending on me staying alert. Claire walked into the room, sat on the edge of his bed. Tell me about them. The people depending on you. Dante was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. My father built this empire from nothing. Came to this country with $5 and a willingness to do whatever it took. He wasn't a good man. But he was loyal. Protected the neighborhood. Made sure people had jobs. Food. Safety. When he died, I inherited all of it. The business, the responsibility, the enemies. How old were you? 22. Too young. Too angry. I made mistakes. Trusted the wrong people. Lost good men because I was reckless. He took a drink. But I learned. Got harder. Smarter. Built walls between me and everyone else. Decided relationships were weaknesses I couldn't afford. What changed? You. Sitting in that restaurant, looking like your world was ending over some loser who wasn't worth your tears. He finally looked at her. I'd forgotten what it felt like to want something, to want someone. And then there you were. And I couldn't walk away. Claire stood and moved to him, took the glass from his hand and set it down. Then don't walk away now. Dante caught her wrist. Claire, if we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. You become mine in ways that go deeper than you understand. Are you ready for that? I've been ready since you said, sit with me. He pulled her down into his lap, kissed her like he was drowning and she was air. His hands tangled in her hair, moved down her back, pulled her impossibly closer. Claire kissed him back with everything she had, all the loneliness and fear and desperate hope she'd been carrying for so long. When they finally came up for air, Dante rested his forehead against hers. I'm going to ruin you. Good. I want to be ruined. You say that now, but when my world touches you, when the danger becomes real, you'll wish you'd run when you had the chance. Then I'll deal with it when it happens. But right now, right here, I choose you. They stayed tangled together until sunrise painted the sky pink, talking, kissing, building something that felt both fragile and unbreakable. When Claire finally fell asleep in his arms, Dante held her like she might disappear, like she was the most precious thing he'd ever possessed. Morning came with coffee and pastries that appeared like magic. Claire woke to find Dante already dressed, on his phone, back to being the dangerous man who ran an empire. But when he saw her awake, he ended the call and sat on the edge of the bed. Good morning. Hi. Claire's voice was rough with sleep. What time is it? Almost noon. You needed rest. He handed her coffee. We need to talk about practical things. Your job. Your apartment. Your life. What about them? You can't go back to the bookstore. Too exposed. Too vulnerable. And your apartment isn't secure enough. He held up a hand before she could protest. I'm not taking away your independence. I'm offering you options. You can work for one of my legitimate businesses, something that interests you, or you can go back to school. Finish your degree. Whatever you want. But you can't be in situations where I can't protect you. Claire set down her coffee. You're asking me to give up my entire life. I'm asking you to build a better one, with resources, safety, a future that isn't paycheck to paycheck. And what do I give you in return? Nothing. You don't owe me anything. Dante's expression was serious. I'm not buying you, Claire. I'm investing in you. There's a difference. It doesn't feel like a difference. Then tell me what would make it feel different. Claire thought about that. About pride and independence and the fear of being owned. Let me keep working. Somewhere. Maybe not the bookstore. But something that's mine, that I earned. Done. I own a gallery downtown. They need someone to manage acquisitions. It's real work. Legitimate. And it pays well. I don't know anything about art. You read. You understand stories. Art is just stories told visually. Dante touched her face. Say yes. Let me take care of you while you figure out who you want to become. The word care hung between them, heavy with meaning. Because this wasn't just about money or jobs or safety. This was about Dante trying to give her the life she'd never dared dream of, and all she had to do was trust him. Okay, she said finally. Yes, I'll work at the gallery. Relief washed over Dante's features. Good. You start Monday. Today, we're getting you moved out of your apartment. My people will handle everything. You'll stay here. In this room or one of the others. Your choice. This is happening really fast. Yes, it is. Because the people who saw us together last night are already making plans. Already figuring out how to use you against me. And I need you somewhere I can keep you safe. As if on cue, his phone rang. Dante's expression darkened as he answered. What? He listened, his jaw clenched. When? How many? Understood. Double security. Lock down the perimeter. No one in or out without my approval. He hung up and looked at Claire. Get dressed. We need to move you now. What's wrong? Someone tried to break into your apartment an hour ago. My men stopped them, but it means they're moving faster than I expected. Fear shot through Claire. Who's they? Rivals. People who want what I have. People who think taking you will give them leverage. Dante pulled her to her feet. This is what I warned you about. The danger. The constant threat. It's real now. And it's coming for you. Claire's hand shook as she got dressed in clothes from the closet that fit perfectly because Dante had already planned this. Had already known she'd need to stay, had already prepared for the moment his world crashed into hers. Within an hour, her apartment was empty. Everything she owned packed into boxes and brought to Dante's house. Claire watched from the car as men in suits carried her life away. It felt surreal, like watching someone else's story. "You okay?" Dante asked. "I don't know. This morning I woke up in your arms. Now people are trying to kidnap me. It's a lot. I know. And I'm sorry. This is exactly what I didn't want for you." His hand found hers. "But I promise you're safe now. No one touches you. No one threatens you. Not while I'm alive." They spent the afternoon at the house while Dante made calls and gave orders. Claire sat in the library trying to process everything. Her phone buzzed. "Diane." Claire answered on the third ring. "Where are you?" Diane sounded panicked. "I went by your apartment. It's empty. Your landlord said you moved out. What's going on?" "I'm fine. I'm safe. I just needed a change." "A change?" "Claire, you don't just disappear overnight. What happened? Is this about that guy you met?" "Yes. And before you lecture me, I know this is fast. I know it's crazy. But Diane, I'm happy. For the first time in years, I'm actually happy." Happy or infatuated? Because there's a difference. And moving in with someone you just met is exactly what I needed. Please trust me. I know what I'm doing." Silence. Then Diane's voice, quieter now. "Are you safe? Really?" "Yes. Safer than I've ever been." "Okay. But if you need anything, if anything feels wrong, you call me. Promise?" "I promise." After she hung up, Claire found Dante in his office. He was standing at the window, shoulders tight with tension. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "How to end this without more bloodshed? How to make you safe without starting a war?" He turned to face her. "I knew bringing you into my life would complicate things. I just didn't realize how much I'd care about keeping you safe. You could let me go. Send me away somewhere. Protect me from a distance. I could, but I won't. Because I'm selfish. Because having you here, knowing you're close, it's the only thing keeping me sane right now." Claire pulled him down and kissed him. "Then keep me close. Whatever happens, we face it together." The next few days fell into a strange rhythm. Claire started at the gallery. It was beautiful, full of art that made her chest ache and stories that needed telling. Her boss was a woman named Helen, who didn't ask questions about Claire's sudden appearance or her connection to Dante. Just taught her about art and artists and how to see beyond the surface. Evenings were spent with Dante. Dinners that felt almost normal. Conversations that ranged from deep to silly. Moments when Claire forgot about the danger and just enjoyed being with someone who saw her. Really saw her. But the danger was always there. The guards. The security. The way Dante checked his phone constantly. The calls that made his expression go cold and distant. 2 weeks in, everything changed. Claire was at the gallery when Marcus appeared. His face was grim. "We need to go. Now." "What's wrong?" "Dante's been taken. They grabbed him an hour ago. Left a message. They want you in exchange." The world tilted. "What?" "They knew he'd never trade you, but they're counting on you trading yourself." Marcus grabbed her arm. "We need to get you somewhere safe before they come for you." "No." Claire pulled free. "Where is he? Where did they take him?" "I can't tell you that. Marcus, please. He came for me when I was alone. I'm not leaving him." Marcus's expression was torn. "If you go, you'll both die. That's their plan. Take you. Kill him in front of you. Then kill you. Send a message to anyone else who thinks they can challenge them. Then we don't do what they expect. Tell me where he is. I'll think of something." "You're not a soldier, Claire. You're a civilian who got caught in a war. I'm the woman he loves. And I'm not letting him die because of me." Claire's voice was steel. Now tell me where they took him, or I'll find out myself and go alone. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a decision that probably broke every protocol he had. The warehouse on River Street. The old meatpacking plant. But Claire, they have at least 20 men. We have maybe 10 available. The odds are... I don't care about odds. I care about Dante. What happened next moved fast. Marcus called in every resource Dante had. They met at a building 3 blocks from the warehouse. Men with weapons and grim faces. A plan that relied on Claire doing exactly what the kidnappers expected. You walk in the front, Marcus explained. Hands up. Unarmed. I'll be watching through thermal. The moment you're inside, we breach from 3 sides. But Claire, if this goes wrong, it won't. If it does, Dante would want you to know he never regretted meeting you, that you gave him something he thought he'd lost forever. Claire's throat tightened. Tell him yourself, after we get him out. The warehouse was exactly as terrible as she'd imagined. Dark, cold, smelling like rust and old blood. Claire walked through the front door, hands raised, heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. Inside, men with guns surrounded a figure tied to a chair in the center. Dante. His face was bruised. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. But when he saw Claire, horror replaced everything else. No, he said. His voice was rough. Claire, no, what did you do? A man stepped from the shadows. Older. Expensive suit. Cold smile. She did exactly what we knew she'd do. Love makes people stupid. Let him go, Claire said. You have me. That was the deal. There was no deal, sweetheart, just a trap. And you walked right into it. The man pulled out a gun. But I'm a man of my word. I'll let him go. After he watches you die. The gun came up, pointed at Claire's chest. She closed her eyes. Thought about blind dates and borrowed dresses and a man who'd said, sit with me, and changed everything. Then the world exploded. The windows shattered. Men poured in from every direction. Gunfire erupted. Claire hit the ground. Someone tackled her. Marcus, covering her body with his while chaos reigned around them. It lasted maybe 2 minutes. Maybe forever. When the shooting stopped, Claire's ears were ringing. Marcus pulled her up. Dante was free, fighting 2 men with his hands still bound. She watched him move. Watched him become the dangerous thing everyone feared. Watched him end threats with brutal efficiency. When it was over, bodies littered the floor. Dante stood in the center, breathing hard, blood on his hands. His eyes found Claire. Relief and rage warred in his expression. You came for me, he said. Of course I did. He crossed the space between them in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, held her so tight she could barely breathe. You could have died. Do you understand that? You could have died. So could you. And I wasn't going to let that happen. Dante pulled back just enough to look at her. I thought I'd lost you. Thought I'd gotten you killed. I was going to burn this entire city down. I know. That's why I had to come. Claire touched his bruised face. We're in this together. Remember? Whatever happens. Together. He repeated. Then he kissed her. Hard and desperate and full of everything they'd almost lost. Sirens wailed in the distance. Marcus appeared. We need to go. Now, before the police arrive. They left the warehouse. Got into cars that took them back to Dante's house. Claire sat in the back seat, still, shaking, coming down from adrenaline. Dante held her hand the entire drive. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. At the house, Dante led her upstairs, to his room. He started to clean his wounds, but his hands were shaking too badly. Claire took over, gently washing blood away, covering cuts with bandages, taking care of him the way he'd taken care of her. I've never been afraid before, Dante said quietly, Not in 20 years of this life. But when I saw you walk through that door, when I realized what you'd done, I was terrified. Good. Now you know how I felt when Marcus said they'd taken you. This is my fault. All of it. If I hadn't approached you that night, I'd still be alone. Still be invisible. Still be waiting for a life that never came. Claire finished with the last bandage. You saved me first. Remember? When you said sit with me. That wasn't saving you. That was being selfish. Wanting something I shouldn't have wanted. Then we're both selfish. Because I wanted you too. From that first moment. And I'd make the same choice again. Dante pulled her into his lap. Held her close. They sat like that for a long time. Two broken people who'd found each other in the worst possible way and refused to let go. What happens now? Claire asked. Now I end this. Permanently. I've been playing nice. Trying to avoid all-out war. But they touched you. Took you into danger. That changes everything. His voice was cold. Final. By this time tomorrow, every organization that came after us will be gone, and everyone will know what happens when you threaten what's mine. Claire should have been scared, should have argued against more violence, but she'd seen what these people were willing to do. Had felt the gun pointed at her chest, had watched Dante bleeding and broken because they wanted to send a message. Okay, she said, do what you have to do. You're not going to ask me to find another way? Is there another way? One that keeps us both safe? No. Then I'm not going to ask for the impossible. Just come back to me when it's done. Dante's arms tightened around her. I'll always come back to you. The next 48 hours were brutal. Dante left before dawn. Came back covered in other people's choices. Claire didn't ask for details. Didn't need to. She just cleaned him up. Held him. Let him remember he was human beneath the monster everyone feared. On the third day, Marcus appeared with news. It's done. All of them. The families that came after you. The organizations that thought they could use Claire. Gone. Either dead or scattered. The city's yours now. Completely. Dante nodded once. Then he turned to Claire. It's over. You're safe now. Are you sure? As sure as I can be in this life. He pulled her close. I'm getting out. Like I planned. Selling off the dangerous parts. Keeping only the legitimate businesses. It'll take time. Maybe a year. But then we're free. And until then? Until then, I protect what's mine. Build something better. And love you the way you deserve to be loved. Claire smiled. That's quite a list. I'm an ambitious man. 6 months later, Claire stood in the gallery hanging a new exhibition. Her exhibition. Local artists she discovered. Stories told through paint and sculpture and photography. The opening was tomorrow. She was nervous, excited, proud of what she'd built. Dante appeared in the doorway. He'd been at meetings all day, transferring assets, cutting ties, building their exit strategy. But he'd promised to be here for this. How's it look? She asked. Perfect, like everything you touch. He moved through the space, studying each piece. You have a gift for this, for seeing potential others miss. I learned from the best. You saw potential in me when I was eating cold soup in a broken apartment. That wasn't potential. That was recognizing something I needed without knowing I needed it. Dante pulled her close. You changed everything, Claire. My plans, my priorities, my entire life. Is that a complaint? That's gratitude. For walking into my restaurant. For saying yes when you should have run. For coming after me when any smart person would have walked away. Claire thought about that night. The blind date that never happened. The humiliation that led to everything else. I'm glad Michael stood me up. So am I. Though if I ever see him, I'm going to thank him with my fists. Very romantic. I'm Italian. We express love violently. They laughed, kissed, stood together in the gallery Claire had built in the life Dante had made possible. Tomorrow the exhibition would open. Next month, Dante's exit strategy would be complete. Next year, they'd start over somewhere new, somewhere safe. Somewhere they could just be two people in love instead of a crime boss and the woman who'd changed him. But tonight, right here, they had everything that mattered. Each other. Safety. A future that looked nothing like either of them had imagined but felt exactly right. Thank you, Claire said softly. For what? For seeing me. For asking me to sit with you. For making me believe I was worth something. Dante cupped her face in his hands. You were always worth something. You just needed someone to reflect it back. He kissed her forehead. Besides, I should be thanking you. You saved me from myself, from a life that was all duty and no joy, from forgetting what it felt like to love someone more than power. They went home together, to the house that had become theirs, past the guards who nodded respectfully, through rooms filled with art and books and evidence of a life being built, into a future that started with a blind date and a stranger's kindness and two words that changed everything. Sit with me. Sometimes that's all it takes. An invitation, a moment of connection, a choice to see someone as they really are instead of walking past them. Claire had been invisible. Dante had been unreachable. Together, they became visible, reachable, human. The city outside continued its complicated dance, but inside, in their space carved out of chaos, there was peace. Hard-won and precious and worth every risk they'd taken to find it. Because love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone worth fighting for, worth changing for, worth building a completely different life for. And Claire and Dante had found that in each other, in a restaurant, on the worst night, when everything went wrong in exactly the right way.